The Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome to the show. It is Friday, September 11th, and this is the Fantasy Footballers Podcast.
Oh, man, did you watch that football last night?
Was there a game?
There was what?
Arena? Is it Arena?
Arena Football League back.
I stopped watching Arena when the Rattlers lost.
Yeah, that's funny. They still play Arena football, don't they?
Yeah, we were in the playoffs, man.
Who's we? The Rattlers?
Yes.
I go back to Hunky Cooper. Okay, we're going to come back to the show. There was a football game last night. I'm Andy Holloway. I'm joined, as always, by Jason Moore and Mike, the Fantasy Hitman Wright.
Yes.
And we are, it's Friday, and we're talking weekend football, some Thursday night football review. We have some more Sunday game previews. Our fantasy forecast will break down some more of the games. And my favorite segment of the entire week, genuinely, the starts of the week.
Oh.
So we're all going to give you our kind of favorite starts. We try to select players that aren't, everyone's starting Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, should I change my start of the week?
Rodgers, yeah. So, hey, guys, quick question for the day before we get started here. The most surprising thing about Thursday night football for you was what?
The most surprising player for me was D'Angelo Williams. And not that we hated him at all. We had him, I think, decently high, and we're telling people to start him. But, man, he looked pretty good. He looked sprightly for an old fella.
He was beating people to the edge,
which was bizarre.
They said he lost 15 pounds. I mean, everybody who's been asking me about starting D-Well versus kind of some of the like D-Well Woodhead type of options where the guys aren't between the tackle, I just go with D-Well. Just go with D-Well.
I hear he was on a double stuff Oreos diet.
Oh, that's
Is that how he lost weight?
Yes.
The thing is if he had gotten goal line work, there was 2 times they were on the goal line. If he had gotten goal line work either of those times and gotten in the end zone, he has a huge game.
He got a couple carries. He wasn't quite as good on the goal line.
He had a chance before. Yeah, they pulled him out.
Well, okay, so yours was D'Angelo Williams. Jason?
Well, my mini shock was that Dion Lewis got back in the game after fumbling.
That's worth saying.
Yeah. Bill, I tweeted. I said, "Bill, you old softy.
I know.
What happened?"
We thought his career ended on that fumble.
I had picked up Dion Lewis in a couple leagues and was really happy with the whole game. And then
I have a theory.
And then I'm thinking, as soon as he fumbled, I said when we were watching, I was like, well, that is the end of Dion Lewis's career.
Have we confirmed that maybe Bill goes crazy with fumbles only if the fumble is lost? Have you thought about that? Because they did score, and then Bill was probably kind of calmed down a little bit.
Maybe. Or he hates James White.
Do you think Stephen Ridley was screaming into the TV when he saw Dion Lewis back on the field?
Yes.
That's not fair. My career's over.
Yeah, Stephen Ridley was losing his mind.
So my most surprising, you had Dion Lewis.
Was this surprising?
No, it really wasn't. But
the
most surprising confirmation of an opinion I had. Wait, Marcus Wheaton is no good.
Agreed.
Or better said, he's fine, but
average.
He's not special in any way. And for your fantasy lineups, be excited about Martavis Bryant returning. The offense desperately needed him last night. Big Ben throws a better deep ball than anybody in the game, almost. And Darius Hayward-Bay came down with one. And if it had been Bryant flying down the sideline, that's probably a touchdown.
And Darius Hayward-Bay also had a touchdown in the end zone where he just sat out of bounds when he was wide open. I don't think Martavis Bryant's doing that.
So, yes, Thursday Night Football is in the books. Tom Brady had a monster game along with Rob Gronkowski. Fantasy relevance, this is worth playing.
Oh, the garbage man.
If you were an Antonio Brown or Big Ben owner, you rejoiced with the 2 seconds left touchdown to Antonio Brown.
I am an Antonio Brown owner for our main league, so I was watching that last drive with wide open eyes, and I was just like, this is it. This is where Brown is going to get the stinkiest, stankiest, most disgusting touchdown. And I opened my arms and gladly accepted it.
Just ridiculous.
And Jason was playing against Big Ben, so that really hurt him. I will say this: Antonio Brown is Antonio Brown, if not better. He looks the same. So, all right, real quick about the show. You can go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com, submit questions to the show. You can join our Foot Clan community of fantasy football players, where we share information and kind of advice and those type of things. Follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers. You can visit our YouTube channel, find us on Facebook, subscribe on iTunes. We're everywhere. The football season's going, so we've got you covered.
And for the people who I saw a couple people asking why are you guys silent during the game? I was tweeting on my at FF Hitman account. So if you wanted to,
I did share one little tidbit on my account too. Did you see that?
No, I didn't. What'd you?
Yeah, I had a friend who told me that Big Ben looks like 2 hamburger buns stuffed into a helmet. And there were some pretty funny responses to that one.
There were some really funny. Foot Clan out there, you guys are funny.
What he said, my heart says fat, but my brain says pro athlete. But it was really fun to have football back. So let's get into some news.
News and notes from around the league.
All right, guys, I'm going to blitz these today. We got so much to cover with the game previews, the starts of the week, so I'm going to go through them real quick, except for the first one. All right, Houston, CBS's Jason Lockenford reports Arian Foster could return as early as week 2 or 3. 2 or 3. Beautiful.
Yeah, if we've recommended Foster, and
maybe the Fantasy Reaper took care of business here and got his draft value down, and now everybody who drafted him on my recommendation is going to sing songs and do dances.
I honestly can't fathom him coming back in week 2 where I drafted him, which was the 6th round was where I was grabbing him, to miss 1 game where people are spending the first overall pick on Le'Veon Bell to miss 2.
Beautiful.
None of this is confirmed. It could still be 6 weeks, but at least the hope is out there, and hope floats. I don't know if you guys know this.
Giants camp. Eli Manning signs a 4-year, $84 million contract extension, which means he can continue to look perplexed, throwing interceptions with the Giants for years to come.
His face while signing the contract was still completely neutral.
All right, the rest of this news I'm going to cover. I want to go over the injured guys this week. I want you to give me a quick answer. We're calling this the Marty McFly segment, and I'll tell you why.
What's it going to be, McFly? Are you in or out?
All right, that's the question. Are you in or out? Trey Mason.
Out.
Devontae Freeman.
In.
Alshon Jeffrey.
In.
Mike Evans.
In.
Out.
LaShawn McCoy.
In.
Duke Johnson.
In.
T.Y. Hilton.
In.
Roddy White.
In.
Michael Floyd.
Out.
Devontae Parker.
In.
Victor Cruz.
Out.
And Zach Ertz.
Out.
In.
You said in?
I'm going to go in with Zach
I think
Ertz.
he might play.
I wouldn't start
But
him.
I wouldn't be starting him.
I think that section should be called the belly button section.
Why?
Innies and outies.
Ooh.
You can make the cut for that one. I'm going to stay away. I'm going to stay away from that. I don't think there's any belly button Marty McFly Back to the Future jokes that I can figure out.
I'm looking.
All right, listen. Getting your mailing and shipping done can seem like a no-win situation. You either go to the post office and take up valuable time, or you have to lease a postage meter, which is expensive. You have to make long-term commitments to it with hidden fees. But listen, here at the Foot Clan headquarters, there's a better way, and it's Stamps.com. Now, with Stamps.com, you can buy and print official U.S. postage for any letter or package right from your desk using your own computer or printer. It is more powerful than a postage meter. You get better deals on Stamps.com. So listen up. Right now, special offer. Use our promo code FOOTBALLERS for this special offer, a 4-week trial plus a $110 bonus offer. It includes a digital scale and up to $55 in free postage. It's what we use to send out all our Foot Clan gear. So check it out, Stamps.com. Don't wait. Go to Stamps.com, and before you do anything else, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in Footballers. That's Stamps.com and enter Footballers. All right, guys, let's talk the rest of Week 1.
Fantasy Forecast.
All righty, let's go Saints Cardinals to kick this thing off.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of fantasy relevant players in this game. For some reason, in your show notes, you have traded Tony Romo to the
Breaking news.
New Orleans Saints. He's changing on the fly. All right, Drew Brees, Carson Palmer. Who do you like more in this game?
Ooh, that's a good question right off the bat.
I'm going to take Palmer.
Interesting.
I think Palmer has a great game. The Saints defense, the secondary is beat up and already suspect. And if Cardinals at home, Palmer back healthy. I think they're going to have a good offensive game.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with my rankings and go Drew Brees. I expect that the Cardinals are going to use Ellington a lot in this game, and some of the scoring, it should be a high-scoring game, and that's one of the important things for fantasy, right? Last year, the Saints were the 28th. They gave up the 28th most points. Obviously, everything changes from a defensive standpoint on week 1, but they're coming to the Cardinals. They're going to be on the road, and so I expect that they'll give up some points both in the air and on the ground.
Well, and it's a little easier to predict defenses at the beginning of the year if there's congruency with their defensive coordinator and what they were doing in the previous season. And so there is in that case with the Saints. One of the reasons we pay attention to the Vegas over-unders is to get a fantasy kind of barometer for the scores being expected in those games. I mean, if you have Vegas knows what they're doing. They have a lot of smart people spending a lot of time setting these lines so that they don't lose millions of dollars. So
yes,
they have a good idea of the situation, and it's a great quick glance for you. If you're deciding between two players at the same position, and one game has an over-under of 53 points and the other has like a 39 or something like that, you might just want to hedge, just go in with the Vegas number. So
what I really want to see, what's interesting for this game is Brandon Coleman. How does he do starting, getting his first starting shot of real live NFL, and the tight ends with Josh Hill and Tate. Wait, Tate. Now I'm blanking on the Watson, not Tate. Watson, Benjamin Watson.
Yep.
Because the Cardinals have you can't bank on things year to year, but you know what you can bank on: death, taxes, Cardinals sucking against tight end coverage.
It's amazing. Different head coaches, different defensive coordinators, different personnel. The one consistent is that they cannot. That in Arizona, there's like a law.
There's no such thing as such thing as tight ends.
You cannot guard tight ends.
All right. So some other starting wide receivers on the Cardinals side: Larry Fitzgerald, John Brown.
We think it will be Brown
in terms of
instead of Floyd.
Yes, we do. I think Ellington has a good start to the season. I would expect good things from him in this game. I think Ingram is an okay play. I think the Cardinals do pretty good against the run. So
they've talked about for the running backs, they've come out and said it's going to be a very hot-handed approach. As of now, Chris Johnson is listed second on the depth chart.
He will get carries,
which is an abomination for our boy David.
All right, so the Saints-Cardinals game, I do think Brees has a good game. I think Drew Brees is going to have a good season. Do you see he changed his mechanics? Drew Brees.
What?
He worked on his mechanics all offseason.
His car was just constantly breaking down.
Yeah. All right, Ravens-Broncos. This should be a great game. I think it's going to be a very close game. It's in Denver. Flacco and Peyton. When is Flacco start worthy for you? Where is he in your rankings?
Let me check my rankings. I need to see it first. He's a low end 2 for me right now, but Flacco is really hard to predict week to week because he comes out and just gives you 115 yards, no touchdowns, and then other games he puts up 250 with 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's quite a ways down the list for all three of us. So,
but exciting to see what he does in the Trestman offense. Do they change? Do they stay the same like they've been talking about, or do they start airing it out?
We're going to see some huge fantasy questions we've been talking about for months in this game with the Trestman offense and with the new Peyton Manning. Is it Peyton's team or is it Coob's team? There's so many questions that are going to be answered here in this game, and so there's also some really, really great, I think, starts in this game. You've got C.J. Anderson. I would have no problem running him out there. He's like one of my top 5 guys this week. Forsett, you finally get to see, is he going to catch passes a lot out of the backfield? We expect it with Trestman, but that's something you have to watch week 1 because they didn't show it at all in preseason.
All right, Kamar Aiken, is he a sleeper start if somebody needs somebody?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're desperate
3 wide receiver league.
If you're desperate for a wide receiver right now, somehow that just happened in your draft, Aiken's going to start.
Yep. And obviously you're starting DT, you're starting Sanders, and real quick too, a note on Steve Smith, he puts up really, really good numbers in the beginning of the year. He averages something like 92 yards per game on season openers. So I think Steve Smith is a very strong start in this one. Let's talk about the Bengals and the Raiders. We get to see Amari Cooper make his debut, Crabtree make his Raider debut. Latavius Murray behind center, and a new coach. So the Raiders, are they going to be different this year? Is this their year?
This might be their year, but I don't think this is going to be their week. And I know you're high right now on Amari Cooper week 1, Andy.
I am much higher than both of you guys. I have him way higher than both of you guys.
And for me, it's because of matchup. I think the Bengals D is a really strong play this week.
Very fair.
And so, I'm high on Cooper. I'm high on Latavius Murray. I'm okay on Derek Carr, but I've got them all ranked pretty
your
low
ranking
this week.
for Amari Cooper is inexcusable to me.
Where do I have him?
49.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Bengals D, and
Mike's is okay. 34.
Drake Kirkpatrick, man, he is very good. He is a very good DB, and if I think the game turns very quickly into the Raiders have to throw, because I think the Bengals are going to be a very solid offense, and if the Bengals know what you're going to do, they're able to shut you down.
Very low scoring projection in Vegas. So that's why pretty much almost everybody, if you look at this game for me, I've got AJ Green, not super high. Pretty much most of the guys in this game I'm just not in love with, even the guys that I really like for this year. So just not expecting a lot of firepower here week 1.
Fair enough. If you are, talking tight ends from the last game and this game, Tyler Eifert or Owen Daniels, who are you starting this week?
Owen Daniels, a lot more points going to be going up in that game.
Yeah, I think
I've had to stare that decision down in many leagues. I'm sticking with Eifert right now.
They're back to back in my rankings.
I was just gonna check mine since I was like, definitely Owen Daniels.
They're back to back for me. And Eifert being the second option for the Bengals, which I believe he is the second option in the passing game.
Well, if that's the case, he's gonna have a great season.
They're back to back for me. I got
that's why
Daniels
I like him.
ahead.
Fair enough. All right, Titans.
And he's very attractive.
Who?
Tyler Eifert.
That is a strange comment.
He's a handsome, fancy man.
Yeah, he's when you're a handsome man, you're a better fantasy player. This is.
Yeah, look at Tom Brady.
No,
I didn't know where this was going. I'm just moving on.
It's going nowhere.
All right, you're just out of the blue saying Tyler Eifert is a nice looking gentleman.
Yes.
Okay. Tennessee Titans, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a great, hilarious matchup between the teams that got the two quarterbacks. So you get to see Mariota and Winston face each other on week 1. How does this game pan out to you fantasy-wise? Because I think probably the perception is not a lot of value there. Is that the reality?
I'm rolling Vincent Jackson out. There's concern on Mike Evans. While I think he plays, I think he'll be limited. And the reports are coming out that the game plan is going to be very Vincent Jackson heavy. Well, I don't know why they would leak something like that, but you have to believe it's true. I think Winston's going to sling the ball, and Vincent Jackson's going to be the guy to go get it. We got Louis Murphy is going to be in if Mike Evans is out, and it's also a Austin Seferian-Jenkins alert. If Mike Evans is out, he would be a decent flyer this week.
If Mike Evans is playing in week 1, I'm still leery of him. So if he plays, to me, I don't really want him. I think I would start someone else, a flex type guy over him.
Kendall Wright or Mike Evans this week?
Kendall Wright, 100% for me, yeah.
I might take the just touchdown chance with Evans.
You've definitely got it. But I think with Evans, if Evans plays, he's more of a decoy, and I think Vincent Jackson's going to be a good option. So, let me talk for a second about some other NFL players, NFL trading cards. I love trading cards, sports cards, card games. I've always played card games and things like that. The Topps Huddle app is a brand new app that came out a couple years ago. It's so fun. They have featured officially licensed NFLPA players. So you can, just like when you were a kid or even when you were an adult, you can collect these cards. You can open packs. There's 300 million digital packs that have been opened since 2012. You could trade these cards with other people. You can collect and grow your team, but that's not all you can do with the Topps Huddle app. You can actually play your cards in real games so that it's just like fantasy. You can earn points in real time for what the players are doing on the fields. It's a blast to play. I had a couple guys in for last night's game. So for any football fan, especially fantasy football fans, this app is really a must-have. Download the Topps Huddle app for free in the App Store or on Google Play, and you get 10 free packs today.
All right, check out Top's Huddle. Giants Cowboys, the next matchup in our lineup. This is the Sunday night football game. You got some Dez Bryant, ODB, head-to-head matchups. A lot of fantasy points expected in this game between a couple of teams that I think are probably middle to back end on the defensive side. Cowboys had a good year last year, but okay, Mike, it's time. It's time, Mike.
Okay, what are we doing? It's time.
Who are you starting? Dallas running back.
Oh, who am I starting?
Come on, Mike. Tell the world what to do here because we don't know. We just need your advice. You're the fantasy hitman. Take one of these guys out and give us the answer.
I need more information.
Yeah.
But
It's too late.
no, it is not too late because you can wait up until Sunday night to make that decision.
Well, but the people, they got a busy weekend ahead of them. This is their last chance. There's a last chance to set their lineup. They need to know from the hitman who to start. It's an obvious pick for you. So
I would still start Joseph Randle,
yeah.
even though I think that he could be outtouched this weekend.
Okay.
Joseph Randle or TJ Yeldon.
Give me Yeldon.
Yeah,
Give me Yeldon.
I think I'll go with this. I think I still have Randall higher because the Giants. The Giants give up so many points to running backs.
Are you starting any Giant running backs ahead of Joseph Randle?
No.
Okay. If you're starting a Giants running back, who are you starting?
I would start Andre Williams and just hope I get that touchdown
Fair
because
enough.
I'm not counting on. That's a standard format. If you're in PPR, you can throw Vereen out there and see if he gets a couple catches.
We did not say anything about Heath Miller from the Thursday night football game, but he had a very good game and was targeted quite often, and we should expect that for at least another week without Martavis and Le'Veon Bell in the mix.
Definitely expect it from Jason Witten.
That's why I mentioned it, is because like Witten and Donnell are both kind of in that middle tier of guys that you probably got late and are just rolling out there this week. Any thoughts on the tight end position in this matchup?
I think it's going to be used a lot. This game seems to me like one where in the first quarter they're both going to pretend like they're running teams, and then it's just going to end up being the Eli Manning, Tony Romo show where they're throwing back and forth, putting up a lot of points.
They're playing
These
catch?
games, yeah, exactly. Tony Romo and Eli, they're going to be on the sideline playing catch while the teams run the ball. These games almost always are high-scoring games. You know, these early season, especially week one, Cowboys, Giants, these are fun, exciting, high-scoring affairs, and that normally happens through the air. So I think your tight ends, your wide receivers, and quarterbacks in this game I love.
I like nearly all players involved in this game, but I have an extra like for Larry Donnell, which I will talk about in a little bit.
Okay.
Teaser.
Fair enough. All right. Eagles, Falcons,
Yes!
Bonanza.
Yes!
I cannot wait for this game for so many reasons. I have Julio Jones shares in most of my leagues. Two high-powered offenses we expect. The Kyle Shanahan debut, the Eagles offense with so many new pieces, and just seeing what they can do with it, whether they go for two quite often. We don't know what Chip Kelly's going to do. He's a crazy person.
Chip Kelly doesn't know what Chip Kelly's going to do.
No.
Until he does it.
So people had asked me, and I'm going to go out here and just mention this. They said Brady or Bradford week one. Tough decision. I had to make it on my own team earlier this week. I went with Bradford. Now, we knew Brady would have a good game, and he did. He had 4 touchdowns in the game last night. So high pillar to reach for Sam Bradford in week one. Is it possible that he surpasses Brady, or is that kind of now out of the question because Brady had such a huge week?
It's possible, but I would not expect him to pass it. That's what I think. I definitely think you're not completely wrong yet because the Eagles, I'm so stoked to see this game. It's just a matter of how
he had 3 touchdowns in a quarter, right? That's 12 in a game. You heard it here first. 12 touchdowns from Sam Bradford.
Here's my prediction for Bradford. If the Falcons play defense like the Pittsburgh Steelers did, and they line literally no defenders up against Brent Selleck to just run a streak down the field with no defenders anywhere near him, then Sam Bradford will outscore Tom Brady.
Now, see, one of the biggest things in our flag football league is when the players on the other team run around and try to catch the football and score touchdowns, we're supposed to play defense on them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's overrated.
Well,
but okay.
Clearly. I could not fathom those 2 plays.
I had a dream last night that Ryan Matthews scored a touchdown, so book it. It's happening.
Oh!
Ryan Matthews getting in that paint.
I was going to stay on the Gronk thing because I was realizing when we were watching the game last night how humongous he is and how does he run out to the side of the field and not be seen.
He's very light-footed.
Didn't the Steelers talk pregame? Pregame, didn't the Steelers talk about how they were going to bottle Gronk up and they had figured something out and they were going to – I mean, Gronk, literally, they didn't cover him.
Multiple times. In the seam. They let him go in the seam. There were times Brady just missed him. And he was only a few away from breaking the record last night, by the way.
They were very concerned about shutting down the number one weapon in New England, and Danny Amendola.
And they didn't do that either.
Danny
Amendola. Right. Wait, real quick. Who is our water bet on? I know on our Patreon mailbag show yesterday, we made a water bet between Ryan Matthews and
Brandon Coleman.
Yeah, was Coleman.
That's right. I've got Ryan Matthews.
Like a flex play.
Yep.
So, all right, let's talk about these. We know Jordan Matthews and Julio Jones, you're starting them. We know Matt Ryan, Sam Bradford, you're starting them. So let's talk about kind of guys that you might not start. Nelson Aguilar, Roddy White. If you're what are your thoughts on Roddy White, Mike?
I love Roddy White this week, which I'm going to talk about him as well a little bit later.
Is he your
do we want to get into
friend?
That? He is a special friend of mine, me and Roddy White. He had his surgery. Apparently he had bone chips removed from your elbow, which I've looked in the grocery store for bone chips in the chip aisle. I could not find any.
No, it's not that kind.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm way off.
So you like Roddy White. Nelson Aguilar, does he make an impact in week 1? Would you start him in a flex position?
Yes, just because so many points are going to be scored, and I would toss him out there as a flex play.
He's come up a lot in questions for me, and I haven't been able to yet pull the trigger. Can he? 100%. He could blow up and have a giant week. But since we haven't seen it yet, normally at the wide receiver flex position, you have other options, and I've been kind of playing the safe bet on that.
All right, let's talk Vikings 49ers, and then we're going to get to our starts of the week. So stay tuned. Don't turn off your dial. If you just got to work, stay in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Stay right there. Sip on that coffee, okay? Vikings 49ers, steady Teddy Bridgewater versus Colin Kaepernick. What is the projections here? Are these guys starting in your leagues? I think Kaepernick's underrated. I've said it before. I still think he is because he gained so many yards on the ground. You can kind of count on 50, 60 yards on the ground from him, which is just enormous for your production. But who are you starting between those two?
I would start Teddy Bridgewater, even though the Vikings are traveling down to San Francisco. I am very excited to see this Vikings offense, see what Teddy Bridgewater can do with a Hall of Fame running back.
Now, are you concerned for AP because of the offensive line situation, Jason?
I've got a slight concern with the center.
They lost their center to IR, designated to return.
And didn't they lose an offensive lineman in preseason as well?
In preseason,
the right tackle.
Yeah, the right tackle.
And
so
you need an offensive line.
A little concern. And honestly, despite how crazy depleted the Niners defense has been, they've looked awesome in the preseason. So against vanilla defenses. But I'm not changing him. He's a Hall of Fame, one of the best running backs of all time. I expect him to go monster here. But if something comes out and you watch him struggle, or you watch that offensive line really struggle, it would be a point of concern knowing the new injuries.
No thoughts, Mike?
I thought I gave him, but I have no concerns over Adrian Peterson. I think he's too good for that situation to really hold him back.
Who has the better game, Charles Johnson or Mike Wallace?
Charles Johnson.
Charles Johnson.
Okay. Who has the better game, Torrey Smith or Anquan Bolden?
Anquan Bolden.
Torrey Smith. I think they're going to have to use it. They brought him in, and I think they're going to use him more than they use Bolden. So we'll find out.
I think you can start Carlos Hyde with confidence this week. And I'm curious how often they'll use Bush and whether he will try to jump over another person and be decapitated like he was in the preseason. All right, that is it for the rundowns. Let's go ahead and get into the starts.
Starts of the week.
That is epic. I feel very excited for these starts of the week. All right, let's lay the groundwork here. The starts of the week segment every week, Jason, myself, Mike, we select one player at each position that we have confidence in this week. We're not picking guys that are at the very, 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 very top of the list that you are starting no matter what. These are guys that you're making decisions, and maybe one of these guys is part of that decision. So we're saying, hey, we like what we see. And so we try to really hit on these. It's obviously impossible to be perfect, but last year we had a lot of success. And so we'll give you the reason why we're picking them, and then you can make your decisions. So let's start at the quarterback position. Let's start with Jason. Your start of the week is
Tony Romo. I just discussed how I think that game is going to be super high scoring and all through the air. and I like Tony Romo at home. I think I've got him as my number 5 quarterback this week.
I am going with Ryan Tannehill, who is up against Washington, and I like Tannehill a lot. We've talked him up, and why I'm playing him? Simple. Washington was among the bottom in giving up fantasy points to the quarterback.
Fair enough. All right, I'm going to go with Tom Brady. Now, he's already scored 4 touchdowns. No.
That's a really good pick.
I'm going with Matthew Stafford, and I think this is just a weapons argument. Matthew Stafford, the Lions, they're a good team. They got a good defense. He can dump the ball to a new weapon in Amir Abdullah, who can get loose for long touchdowns out of the backfield. He has Calvin Johnson returning, and he has Golden Tate, who has been just as good as he was last year. So Matthew Stafford, I think, just has the capability to put up those monster games. So he is my start of the week at the quarterback position. So let's flip it back. I'll start the running back here, and we'll go back the other direction here. Chris Ivory is my running back selection here. The Browns struggled against the run last year. Ivory has looked very good in the preseason, and I believe that the Jets will be winning this game. And so I believe playing from ahead, Chris Ivory, how he's performed, I have a lot of confidence in him this week. I'm taking him over Ingram. I'm taking him over Doug Martin and some of those other options.
Before I announce my running back of the week, I need all Foot Clan members, if you're eating food, to get the food down. If you're taking a drink, finish the drink, because I do not want any projectile or choking happening, because this pick is disgusting. Doug Martin. I'm going to start Doug Martin against Tennessee. Tennessee was the only defense to give up over 2,000 yards on the ground last year. So I love the matchup for Martin, who's looked a lot better in the preseason, and this is your chance. All the people saying, I want Doug Martin in the 4th round. You fire him up this week.
Yeah. For me, I am going close to home and going to go with Andre Ellington. I believe that he gets off to a hot start to begin because he's healthy. He hasn't been healthy in a little while, and he's in a game that a lot of points are going to be put up. So you got a healthy, talented back on a high-scoring game, and where you drafted him, he's one of those question marks. He's a flex-type guy. Do I play him? Do I not? I'm saying start him.
Fair enough. All right, let's come back with our wide receiver starts of the week. Jason, who is the wide receiver that you're most excited about this?
No surprise at all here for me, because I've been tooting his horn since the draft. Is Vincent Jackson. I think he's going to have a great year this year, but specifically this game. You got Mike Evans out. I actually hope he's back because I think he's going to be a huge decoy there. You've got a super depleted secondary in the Tennessee Titans, and you've got Mr. Number 1 draft pick himself who wants to throw deep bomb touchdowns for glory. I just think Vincent Jackson's going to get – I think he's going to get
He said that.
Deep bomb touchdowns for glory? That was the quote?
And he actually screams glory every time. It sounds like Braveheart with screaming freedom.
I
but
don't
he says
remember
glory.
any of this.
So I've got Vincent Jackson in my top 10 wide receivers this week, so I definitely start him.
I can't wait to get see the footage of Winston when he's mic'd up.
That would be
Glory!
It's very interesting. Mike, who's your wide receiver?
My wide receiver start of the week is Roddy White. He is in that high-scoring affair up against the Eagles. The Eagles were, again, among the bottom, giving up points to the wide receiver position. And a fun factoid, because I love fun factoid, on a per-game basis, Roddy White scored more points than Kelvin Benjamin.
Who you love?
No, I don't love him, but he was a wide receiver 1 last year.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I'm going to go with Amari Cooper. My start of the week is Amari Cooper of the Oakland Raiders in his debut. I think he's going to be peppered with targets. The team's going to be losing, and he has the ability to get separation against any cornerback. We saw it against Patrick Peterson at the Cardinals in the preseason. He is a great route runner. He is great after the catch. Amari Cooper is my 15th overall wide receiver in week 1, and he's a start for me. So,
wow.
Yes,
You're
bold words.
Going big on an unproven rookie.
I tell you,
that is correct.
He does.
Well, not going big. I mean, 15 is not big, but
pretty big.
I think that's pretty
it's a wide
big.
receiver too.
That's a high-end wide receiver.
If he does this week 1 against the Bengals, then Amari Cooper, I think, is legit. You've been in love with him all since he's been drafted. Andy,
it is talent and opportunity, and a quarterback that I think is very capable. If this was, I'd compare Derek Carr to Cutler in a lot of ways, where he settles in on one guy that can get separation. He has the arm strength and ability, and so I think you're going to see a lot of production from Cooper in week 1.
If I was Amari Cooper, I would always put a piece of tape on my chest that was the same color as the other team that I was playing. because I know that Derek Carr might be more likely to throw the ball at me if I
say what you will. Say what you will. I went strong with Amari Cooper. All right, the tight end position, I am going to select Jordan Reed. Jordan Reed is my start of the week at the tight end position. Kirk Cousins targeted him 13 times in a game last year for 130-plus yards. He has genuinely been a tight end one when he's had the ability to play and be healthy. And I have said this. I said it yesterday. This is an upset alert for me. I think Washington might win this game at home against Miami. And so I think they'll be in it. I think Jordan Reed will contribute to that because Cousins is going to need to deliver the ball to other targets than Deshaun Jackson down the field. And I think he's going to be encouraged to not take too many chances. So for me, it's Jordan Reed.
If it's a half-point PPR or full-point PPR, all the more better. I think he can be good in standard, but he is definitely he's not so much huge touchdowns as just used all game long.
I had heard that in games he played last year, he was getting 20% of the targets, which is massive for a tight end.
Yeah. For me, I'm going with Martellus Bennett in Chicago. We talked yesterday about how Jay Cutler has a great track record of opening game history. He puts up over 300 yards in average. He's going up against Green Bay Packers, and Alshon Jeffrey is a little hobbled. So I think that those things are going to combine for a huge opening week. He's going to get a lot of targets, and I don't have him statted for a touchdown right now, but I don't think he needs it. He's going to get a lot of targets, a lot of yards, and if he gets in the end zone, he's going over the top.
Yeah, and we've seen what happens to Martellus Bennett when the big guys are gone, and Marshall's already gone, and last year I believe we saw some games where Jeffrey was hobbled and Bennett was just doused in targets.
Yeah, and Bennett is also notorious for opening the season strong and then fading as it goes along. He's a little bit healthier right now.
My tight end start of the week is Larry Donnell, and that is because Dallas, among joining Arizona as teams that cannot guard the tight end, Dallas gave up 109 receptions to the tight end position last year. So he's a nice sleeper pick that's probably on your wire right now if you're not happy with your tight end. I made that move in a couple of my leagues. I wasn't pleased with the tight end, so I was going with the matchup this week.
Okie dokie. Let's go ahead and move on to the mailbag.
I thought you were going to win artichoke.
Mailbag.
Okie dokie.
Thank you. The mind is focused on so many things. That's what came out.
Okie dokie, artichoke.
Okie dokie. All right, if you have a question, remember you can go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. Click on the Submit a Question button in the upper right-hand corner. You can give us the details for your question. We try to include them on the show. We answer questions on Twitter. And if you have a desperate, important start-sit question, you need it quick, you have options on there. You can get those in as fast as 3 hours if you want. All right, you can also leave us a voicemail at 302-464-TFFB. You guys want to answer a few Foot Clan questions?
Always.
I do.
All right. This one comes in from a person named Quang.
I really wish it was Krang.
I thought that's
not that you have a bad name, but if it was Krang, this would have been the tops.
Yes. In a standard 16-person league, so big league, Colin Kaepernick or Joe Flacco for week 1?
I think I would go with Flacco.
Yeah, me too. I'm going Flacco. More points, I think, are going to be put up in that game, trying to keep up with the Broncos. He's got the big arm, so.
I have Flacco ahead as well, despite my like for Kaepernick. I almost made a bet, too. That would have been bad. All right, John in Alabama. Amari Cooper, Devontae Adams, or Charles Johnson. What do you guys think?
I'm going Devontae Adams for sure. I love it. Is he higher than 15 for you, Andy, since Amari Cooper?
Adams is 17. Cooper is 15.
All right.
I'm taking Adams with the best quarterback in the league.
I might make an adjustment. I've come up on Adams, so I think I'd go Adams here, probably a spot ahead of Amari Cooper and Charles Johnson, a distant third for me in this decision.
Well, the Chicago Bears, their defense is not the best.
That's what I was laughing at. Our next question for Mike in Poop Hole. Poop Hole. But it was not that word.
I took that out. Let's keep these clean, people. I'm not reading your I'm not reading your junk on the air.
I like a good poop joke.
Yeah,
but let's keep
not that one. All right, Mike in Illinois. I have Julio and Devontae Adams. He's trying to figure out his third. Wants to start Brandon Cooks, but he's worried about the Patrick Peterson treatment. Well, is that the treatment that gets you like 200 yards
Yeah, I
and
would
2 touchdowns?
Yeah, don't worry about it. We're in Arizona, and I think that the rest of the world overvalues Patrick Peterson. He's athletic. He's
Yeah,
a good
but he's
punter.
on the back of Madden.
Yeah, I'm not worried at all about Cooks.
Cooks is the kind of receiver, in my opinion, that could destroy Patrick Peterson.
I like Brandon Cooks. It's not close. Your other options being John Brown, Charles Johnson, Eddie Royal, those guys.
I mean, if for whatever reason you don't want to throw Cooks out there, I would go with John Brown, assuming Michael Floyd is out.
Absolutely. So that is all the time we have for today's show. Make sure you tune in next week. Mike has something to say.
I had an interesting opening game day story that I wanted to share, and I wanted to do it at the top, but I wanted to get into football. So you got to go with pizza, right? Opening game, you got to go with the pizza. So I call up my local pizza chain.
This sounds like it's an ad read.
Not a chain. No, this is far from. I call up my local pizza store, and I'm like, I want the pizza and the wings special. Give it to me. I really, really wanted hot wings last night for the game. And it was an extra long wait, which it's completely fair. I know that there's going to be a high volume of pizza eaters, as there should be on opening day. So I wait my 30 minutes. I go to pick it up. For my pizza's there in glorious nature. My hot wings are not ready. So now I'm sitting in this jam-packed pizza parlor with the loudest karaoke music that you've ever. I had no idea there was karaoke this night, but it was not on a, because karaoke can really, on a scale of 1 to 10, it could max out at about 5.
Right. Yeah, 1 to 5 is the scale.
And it was about a 2. It was I think some gals were singing La Freak, and they didn't know any of the words, so it was just them dancing and shaking a tambourine. So I wait an extra 15. The game is going while this is on, by the way, because I ordered too late. I'm waiting for my hot wings. They finally come up. I'm like, oh, good. Let's get out of here. So I get home. The pizza looks great. Open up my wing box.
No.
Inside my wing box is 3 old slices of Supreme pizza.
Oh, come on. They gave you 3 old slices of Supreme instead of your hot wings.
No wings.
They mixed up my box, and there was no way I couldn't go back.
Oh,
So it was a horrifically disappointing start to the game. And thankfully, Antonio Brown garbage manned me a touchdown. Play the drum.
The garbage man can.
wow.
My spirits were lifted from that touchdown, but I wanted those hot wings, man.
Dude, you got to prep up next time. You got to get those hot wings before. You got to be ready.
I know. You know what? You know why
you were
I
taught
ordered
a valuable
late?
lesson.
This is a true story. Why I ordered late? Because I was doing nonstop Ultimate Draft reports.
Yeah, if you have ordered an Ultimate Draft Report, we are working on them. We're getting through them. They're going out quick, so hang tight.
That's how dedicated I am to the draft report right now.
You're willing to eat old, moldy Supreme pizza.
I had to sit through karaoke while the game was on because I was doing draft reports too late.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. So, all right, check out jointhefoot.com if you want to join the Foot Clan, get involved with the fantasy community, get your all your questions answered, bounce things off one another. We'll be back here next week reviewing the games.
Goodbye, football! Hello, football.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Don't forget to visit us on the web at www.thefantasyfootballers.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.